Hello dear students, welcome to Pen and Paper Chemistry on YouTube. Today's lesson, hybridization part 3. We are going to revise sp hybridization, taking the examples of inorganic as well as organic compounds so that the concept of pi bonding also becomes clear. Before we start the lesson, please don't forget the pen and the paper in your hand, and if you can get a few pencils around with some Play-Doh, that will be perfect for today's lesson. So let's get going. We are taking the examples of beryllium fluoride, beryllium hydride and C2H2. Now let's start with the simple things first. BeF2, beryllium fluoride. I hope you are watching this video after viewing the video on the how and why of hybridization, because there we have covered all the basic details for any beginner of chemistry. When we talk about beryllium fluoride, so beryllium atomic number 4, or let's say beryllium hydride, let me start with this first. Of course, beryllium being the central atom, beryllium atomic number 4, let's start writing the electronic configuration. Yes, those who've been following the videos and the channel, they are, I'm very sure, familiar with the process. We write the ground state electronic configuration. Beryllium atomic number 4, excited state electronic configuration. Why this excited state? Yes, beryllium is excited because he has guests coming home, 2s1, 2p1. And who's that guest? That guest could be hydrogen, that guest could be fluorine, that guest could be chlorine, any other atom which is approaching the beryllium atom in order to strike a friendship, in order to form a bond with it. Now beryllium is all excited to welcome this guest, so it tends to get unpaired. The electron jumps to the next energy level. Please understand that this excitation and hybridization will take place between orbitals which have equivalent or similar energy. It cannot take place between orbitals of vastly different energy. So I cannot have a jump from 1s2 to 2p1, because that would be a change in the energy level, an extreme change for the electron for which it is not yet ready. So now let us represent this in the form of boxes. So I will represent the electronic configuration of the valence shell. So I have 2s and 2p. We know that there are 3 orbitals in the p sublevel, 1 electron here, 1 electron here, right? Now it has to form bonds with 2 atoms. Please understand that hybridization is a concept which is given to explain the behavior or explain the structures which we already know. So beryllium hydride is what we have to explain. And we also know that the strength of each of these bonds is same. They are not different, right? Now, when I am saying different, okay, before I explain different, first of all, the question arises in the mind of the student, why should it get excited? If you notice over here, this 2s2, the electrons in the 2s orbital, 2s sublevel are completely filled up, are completely paired up. So it won't feel the need to form a bond, right? They are completely paired up. So how do we justify, how do we explain that this beryllium wants to undergo bonding? This has been explained by saying that it jumps to the higher energy level, and that is the 2p level, right? The next question that arises in the mind of a learner is, why should it undergo hybridization? Let's assume that this doesn't undergo hybridization. So in that case, what will happen is, let's suppose it is forming bond with hydrogen, and hydrogen is, the configuration is 1s1. So the hydrogen electron comes, pairs up with 2s, and 1s1 from the second hydrogen comes and pairs up like this. So if I were to draw the structure of beryllium hydride, how would I do it? So this is 2s of beryllium, and this is 1s of hydrogen. This is one overlap which is taking place, so that's a sigma bond, and the other would be between the 2p of beryllium. So I would draw something like this, because this is what the shape of the 2b orbitals is, and the 1s of hydrogen, right? So this is how we would show, assuming that there is no hybridization. Now if you notice over here, there's an SS overlap, whereas here the overlap is between the s and the p orbitals. SS overlap should be stronger than the sp overlap, right? That means the nature of these two bonds should be different. But when experimentally observed, we notice that these two bonds are of equal strength. Both the beryllium hydrogen bonds are of equal strength, and the strength of these two bonds is intermediate between that of an SS and that of an sp bond. How do we explain this, right? So we need to explain it with the help of hybridization. That means before beryllium undergoes bond formation with hydrogen, it undergoes reorientation within its own home. Yes, we again come back to the example of a family where there's a guest arriving, and so the whole arrangement of the house is changed, and they tend to redistribute their stuff in order to make it more attractive, right? So let's again explain with the help of hybridization. I hope you are all writing this down, because this will come in for ready reference when you are offline. You are not going to be online all the time, right? You need reference material as well. Secondly, when you write it yourself, you will remember it also better. And when you teach it to somebody, nothing better than that. It's the perfect combination. You won't even have to revise it for the exam if you teach it to somebody. Okay, so let's get back here. So we've got hybridization between the s and the p orbitals of beryllium. Yes, hybridization happens within the same atom. It does not happen between two atoms, right? So we've got S and P. Now, so we've got, so write down over here, sp hybridization. Right? Now, sp hybridization means one of S and one of P taking part in hybridization. So you have got sp hybrid orbitals. And how many of these hybrid orbitals will be formed? Total how many atomic orbitals? So number of hybrid orbitals is equals to the total number of atomic orbitals participating in bond formation. Number of atomic orbitals, right? So we've got 1 plus 1 gives us 2. So we'll have 2 sp hybrid orbitals. Now go back to the concept of what you did in the VSEPR theory, that is the VSEPR theory, which said that the bond pair of electrons tries to be maximum distance apart from each other. Now how many bond pairs do I have? Because this beryllium is undergoing bond formation with 2 hydrogen atoms. So one overlap and second overlap, right? The sp hybrid orbitals. Come on, try, think, when will they be maximum distance apart from each other? If you've done the VSEPR theory, you will be able to answer this question. Very good. They will be linear. So we will have beryllium here. Draw the hybrid orbital. Draw the hybrid orbital. The trick I told you is shade it. So it looks nice also, and you are able to connect to with the help of colors, right? Now this undergoes bond formation with hydrogen. 1s1 of hydrogen, and this also undergoes bond formation with hydrogen. So one electron each coming from the hydrogen and one electron each coming from the beryllium. Bond angle between the bonded pair of electrons, this is 180 degrees. Now can you write all the points pertaining to sp hybridization in the case of BeH2? Yes, it's a linear molecule. Bond angle is 180 degrees. Please keep on noting down these points. Then what type of hybridization is there? sp hybridization. Please notice there are no lone pair of electrons. If there are lone pair of electrons, the geometry gets very correct. It gets distorted. We have already dealt with it in the VSEPR theory. I have loaded 2 videos on the VSEPR theory, tried to make it very simple for you, very easy for you. So in case you are in doubt, you can watch those videos. Now, would you like to try and draw the structure of BeF2 yourself? Go ahead, try it. If you are in doubt, we've already dealt with the structure between boron and fluorine. Remember, we've already dealt with BF3. Yes, if you have practiced, you will be able to draw this yourself. So you notice over here, see, this is how it's going to be linear, right? And what I've done is today in this lesson, these are my hybrid orbitals. So I have taken them separately now, right? I hope you will be able to show them with all the material that you would have collected, maybe some colored pencils. If you denote it like this, you'll be able to remember it also better. We are now going to talk about sp hybridization in organic compounds, and we are taking the example of C2H2, which is also known as ethine in the IUPAC system or acetylene in the common system. Now you know its structural formula, C triple bond C, H and H. In other words, there is one sigma bond and 2 pi bonds between the carbon atoms. Unsure about sigma and pi bonding? There are videos on sigma and pi bonding as well on the channel. Now let's try and understand the formation of ethine or acetylene in terms of hybridization. So first things first, we'll write the electronic configuration of carbon in the ground state. Please go ahead and write it. You can pause the video, write it, and then tally with what I am going to write over here. That will build your confidence as well in the topic. Ground state, excited state. Go ahead. 1s2, 2s2, 2p, 2. Excited state, 1s2, 2s2, or better still, we will write 2p as, we will write it as 2px1, 2py1. In the excited state, very good, the electron from the 2s jumps into the next higher energy level. Again, we are applying the Hund's rule, which says orbitals are first singly filled up, one electron will enter into each of the p orbitals, and then only pairing will begin. I have been repeating this in the previous 2 videos as well. Right. So we've got this state. Now if I were to form pi bond here, the nature of the bonds would be different. Again, the same logic. Today again in this lesson, we will go back to a family of 4 people, A, B, C and D. They are having guests coming home. In sp2 hybridization, we said D was busy saying that he has his board exams. Today C also says, I too have my uni exams coming up, so I need to be out of this, right? So please give me a break. I will not be able to participate in setting up the place or reorienting to welcome the guest. So what do A and B do? Yes, they have to, right? So A and B come together, they form a team, and that's what is going to happen. So in today's hybridization, we are going to leave out 2 of our orbitals. We are not going to disturb them and they will not participate in hybridization. So what is left with us is 2s and 2p, right? 2p, one of the 2p, you can say px or py or pz, does not make a difference because all 3 are mutually perpendicular to one another in a 3-dimensional region in space, right? So let's go ahead and show the hybridization. So only the s and one p orbital is participating in bond formation. Remember, py and pz have their exams and they say no, we don't want to be bothered by the guests, right? So there we have a situation where 1s and 1p are taking part in hybridization, giving us how many hybrid orbitals? Very correct, 2 sp hybrid orbitals. So that means it is capable of forming 2 bonds, right? It is what does it do and how will this bond pair be directed? Again, they will be directed in a linear fashion. Now, don't forget that we are talking about 2 carbon atoms, and in each of the carbon atoms, it's the same situation. The first carbon also undergoes sp hybridization. The second carbon also undergoes sp hybridization, right? So what happens here? Let's continue with our story. So we have this carbon. This is its sp hybrid orbital and this is its sp hybrid orbital. Yes, one of the lobes is small. Why is one of the lobes small? Come on, answer if you've been watching the other videos. Yes, we've shaded it. Correct. And each one of them has one electron each looking for a partner. Let's draw the second carbon as well. Now here, the second carbon, again, it is like this. There's hybridization in its place. There's hybridization here as well. And even 2, this one also has an unpaired electron. So the 2 say to each other, why not make friends? At least one of our electrons will be paired up. Not a bad idea. We can do that. So let's go ahead and form a bond between them. Now what type of bond will this be? You've studied various types of bonds. Tell me what type of bond will this be? There we go. This is again hybrid orbital. So I'm going to shade it. This is the electron from the second carbon. Again hybrid orbital. I'm going to shade it. And there's an unpaired electron. Now at least one electron has found a companion. Oh, how relieved I am. Okay. Now let's look at the others. Yes, we've got the hydrogen atoms to be participating in bond formation with each of the carbon atoms. So let's form a bond here. So we've got a hydrogen here and we've got the electron coming from hydrogen, and we've got a hydrogen here and we've got an electron coming from hydrogen. Perfect. By the way, all atoms are same, electrons are same. It is only for presentation, a more appealing presentation, that I am using colors. Different colors do not mean that the electrons are different. All electrons are same, right? All atoms here are, the two carbon atoms are the same, right? Now, next comes the interesting bit. We had C and D preparing for their boards. The guests have come in, right? But what happens is, this carbon, okay, let me represent here, has an unhybridized p orbital with an unpaired electron. Not just one, it has two. They are mutually perpendicular to one another. So I am drawing the two of them. The second one a little smaller, right? Okay. What about the second carbon? It's a similar scenario at the second carbon's house as well. It's got an unpaired electron in the two p orbitals. Notice the direction in which I am drawing the second p orbital. I did not draw it like this because we are talking about the same axis for both the carbon atoms, right? So you have to be careful about that. Oh, we are left alone. We can't be studying all the time. Can we be? No, it gets boring. We need a break, right? So what do? They decide to pair up. So here's the electron pairing. Now when this electron pairing happens, the overlap between the p orbitals is taking place along both the lobes. Yes, I will show it also here. Now when both the lobes are overlapping, it gives rise to one pi bond. It's not two pi bonds as yet. It's just one pi bond. Yes. And then again we will have the next pi bond between the other p orbital. Here you go, a pi bond here. So we formed two pi bonds. It is not four pi bonds, 1, 2, 3, 4, no. An overlap between two p orbitals with both the lobes overlapping. This makes one pi bond. Now, if I try to draw with both the lobes overlapping, you know how this diagram will become. It will become very messy here, a lobe here, a lobe there. My God, it will be so difficult to understand. So that is why we represent it like this. So this is one pi bond and this is the second pi bond. Yes, you can write pi over here as well, but then in that case you don't write pi over here. This represents the two pi bonds. Clear? Have you drawn it? Okay. We can use your pencils, colored pencils and stuff like that. So this is one of the carbon atoms that I've got over here. So the lobes that you see, now these are the hybrid orbitals that you are seeing, whereas this pink one, right, and this pink one. Now if you notice, they are mutually perpendicular to one another, right? Now these are the unhybridized orbitals, right? Same situation or same scenario is for the second carbon atom, and there the unhybridized orbitals I have taken with blue. Now here's the overlapping that happens between the two carbon atoms forming the sigma bond, right? Now in order to form the pi bond, it is these lobes which will overlap. But since it is difficult to represent it, we have done it with the help of arrows going from one p orbital to the next. And again, see over here, the two p orbitals again are mutually perpendicular. So from this to this, right? So we've got the p orbitals overlapping here, and we've got the p orbitals overlapping here, right? It is better understood when you represent it yourself. Now that we've shown the hybridization, let's go and list down some of the important points regarding C2H2. So what is the type of hybridization that we have over here? Correct, it's sp hybridization. What is the bond angle? Again, see, when we are talking about bond angle, the angle between the bonded pairs, that's this one, right? This, which is, how much is it? Perfect. It is 180 degrees. That means orientation around each of the carbon atoms. See, this is how the hybrid orbitals are represented. So orientation, that means distribution of the bonded pair of orbitals or electrons around the carbon atoms. Each of the carbon atoms would be linear. Coming to the fourth point. My question to you is, how many sigma bonds are there in the molecule? Sigma bonds in the molecule. Please pay attention to my question. How many sigma bonds are there in the entire molecule? So we have one sigma bond, we have the second sigma bond, and we have the third sigma bond. So in the entire molecule, there are 3 sigma bonds. Question: how many sigma bonds for each carbon? How many sigma bonds is each carbon undergoing? Very correct, it is 2. Question is, how many pi bonds are there in the molecule? Very good, so we've got 2 pi bonds between the molecule. Now many a time students are confused. The pi bond is between py, py, pz, pz or px, px. Now you have to understand here that all the 3 are mutually perpendicular to one another. So in case you are taking px as the horizontal axis and py as the vertical one, then pz becomes the one which is again into and out of the paper on which you are writing. So that makes just like the corner of your room. Look at the corner of your room. It's got the 3 axes showing you the 3 directions, right? So you can say py, py, pz, pz. You can also say px, px. But it will never be px overlapping with py. No, because their orientation, their directions are different. Next question. What are the type of overlaps that you are seeing? Overlaps means what type of orbitals are undergoing an overlap over here. Look at the picture. If you watch the previous video on sp2 hybridization, you will be able to answer this question very smoothly. Yes, very good. So we've got here an overlap between the sp2 hybrid orbital and, very good, go ahead, sp2 and s. So I've got sp2s, I've got sp2s overlap, right? So we can say 2 sp2s overlap. What is the kind of overlap over here? What kind of orbitals are overlapping? Very correct. It's sp2, sp2 sigma overlap. So we've got 1 sp2, sp2 sigma overlap, and we've got two sp2s sigma overlap. This is with the hydrogen. Each of the carbon is undergoing with the hydrogen atoms. So now you know that when we are talking about triple bond between two carbon atoms, one will be sigma, the other two will be pi. Always sigma is formed first, then only pi is formed. Pi bond involves the overlap of both the lobes. Sigma bond involves the overlap of only one lobe. Hybridized or unhybridized does not make a difference. I hope you have been writing down what we've been doing till now. Make sure that you draw the structures once again, and then you will be very, very thorough with this topic, and you will not have to look into it again even during your examinations. That's the beauty of learning with interest and with focus. See you in the next video. Happy learning to all of you.